Welcome back. I'm Chris Majok, and in today's installment of Mercyhurst UnArchived, we explore the rich history of the most sacred spaces on the Mercyhurst campus: Christ the King Chapel, Queen's Chapel, and Mercyhurst Our Lady of Lourdes Grotto. Beyond their architectural beauty, these hallowed places embody values and are central to the Mercyhurst story: an abiding faith in God, determined perseverance, a profound love of beauty and nature, and the generous spirit of the Mercyhurst community. We begin our journey with the beloved Christ the King Chapel. More than Mercyhurst's principal place of worship, the chapel is entwined with the remarkable legacy of the O'Neill family, whose story lies at the heart of early Mercyhurst history. Mother Xavier and Sister Regis O'Neill were prominent members of the pioneer generation of Mercy Sisters who came from Titusville in the early 1920s to found Mercyhurst College and Seminary. Their brother James, who had made a fortune in western Pennsylvania's booming oil industry, was married to Orva Coyle, who deeply admired her former teacher, Mercyhurst founder Mother Borgia Egan. The two remained close friends during Mercyhurst's early development, even as Orva's husband, James, was getting caught up in the infamous Teapot Dome scandal. One of the great scandals in American history, the affair centered around corrupt leasing of federally owned oil reserves during the administration of President Warren G. Harding. During ensuing court proceedings surrounding the scandal, James O'Neill was subpoenaed, and rather than comply and testify against former associates, he and Orva fled to an estate south of Cannes, France, where they ultimately spent the last years of James's life while he evaded U.S. authorities. In 1931, after James contracted pneumonia, his sisters, Mother Xavier and Sister Regis, journeyed to France to visit their brother. During the visit, the two urged James to donate some of his wealth to Mercyhurst for the construction of the long-delayed chapel that had been planned for the east end of the main administration building. Orva was particularly receptive to this idea because she knew from her many visits to the college the tiny space the college was using for a chapel, a room that would later become the business office. Orva had the experience of having to kneel in the corridor when it filled to capacity, as it often did. Although reluctant initially, James agreed to fund the construction of the badly needed new Mercyhurst Chapel. On August 23, 1931, not long after the visit from his sisters, James O'Neill died. The following summer, Orva made her way to Mercyhurst bearing a check for $150,000, today's equivalent of more than $3 million. This marked the beginning of the O'Neill Memorial. In the original plans for Mercyhurst, architect Francis Ferdinand Durang made plans for a 4-story tower with a highly embellished upper level, raising the overall height to 170 feet. However, that plan was shelved during the original construction because of budgetary constraints and the need to complete the priority main building. In 1932, Mother Borgia brought in Erie architect Walter Monahan to redesign the tower, shifting its purpose to serve both as an entrance to the new chapel as well as much-needed multi-purpose space for the college. After groundbreaking in October 1932, construction of the chapel and tower proceeded quickly, both completed in about a year. An impressive memorial, particularly after striking nighttime illumination was added, O'Neill Tower became Southeast Erie's beacon on the hill and a landmark feature of the college. The upper floors of the tower, having housed many academic departments over the years, hold treasured memories for generations of students, faculty, and staff alike. Our journey through the chapel brings us to a very special guest from our past, Sister Eustace Taylor. A member of Mercyhurst's first graduating class in 1929, Sister Eustace served the college for over 60 years, beginning as a professor of English and eventually rising to Mercyhurst president in 1954. Sister Eustace was also a historian of the college who loved this chapel dearly. In 1994, she helped produce a documentary tour of the chapel. There is no better way for us to appreciate the sacred beauty and the history of Christ the King Chapel than to walk along for a few minutes with Sister Eustace.
Hello, my name is Sister Eustace Taylor, and I am very pleased to take you on a tour of Christ the King Chapel in order to show you the beautiful works of art that express both the religious and educational mission of Mercyhurst College. Let us then begin the tour. Let us begin our tour by examining the beautiful mural which wraps around the 5 walls behind the altar. It was designed by a Swedish artist, Stock Lasse, and painted by artists of the Rambusch Company of Philadelphia and New York City. The mural was not part of the original design. It was added several years later. 2 themes merge in the mural: the kingship of Christ and the mission of the Sisters of Mercy. The central figure, placed in a beautiful mosaic, is Christ the King in his royal robes. The mosaic, too, was not part of the original decoration. It was added a few years after the mural was painted on the walls. When the chapel was completed, there were 7 stained glass windows. When the mosaic was put in its place, it covered the center window. The 3 figures under the mosaic represent the ministries of the Sisters of Mercy. The sister in black holding the book, the teaching ministry. The sister in white, the healthcare ministry. The young girl at the center symbolizes youth. The figures standing above the sisters on either side are Pope Gregory XVI, who signed the decree of approval when the Sisters of Mercy became a religious congregation, July 5th, 1841. The other is Archbishop John Mark Gannon, Bishop of Erie, who invited the sisters to relocate to Erie and welcomed the building of Mercyhurst in 1926 as a college and seminary for women. Now let us view the Stations of the Cross that follow the way Christ walked as he carried his cross to Calvary. They are the work of an artist from Havana, Cuba, whose name, unfortunately, we do not know. At the base of each station, there is a small square which appears to be her signature. The row of Roman numerals below indicate the date, 1948. The artist's technique for creating the stations was very unusual. She began by painting a picture. Then, in a very meticulous manner, she covered it with small pieces of clear glass to give it this mosaic effect. Each of the 14 stations tells, in striking color, the details of the last stage of Christ's Passion. Let's now look at the first and the last stations. In the first, Jesus, standing before Pontius Pilate, is condemned to death. In the last station, Jesus is laid in the tomb. Everything in the chapel was carefully thought out and designed to give honor to Christ the King. Even the smallest details have special significance. Note the diamond pattern on the floor, how it is repeated in the side window and in the windows on the rear foyer doors. This pattern of diamonds creates not only a sense of unity in the chapel, but gives us a powerful symbol of the precious jewel that Christ is to all of us.
Just above the main doors of the entrance to the tower are 3 shields, the centerpiece being the crest of Mercyhurst College. Above this shield, to the left and to the right, are two other shields which recall the O'Neills' Irish ancestry. Upon entering the tower, one is greeted with memorial depictions of James and Orva, honoring their legacy and importance to the Mercyhurst community. Orva holds her honorary Doctor of Letters degree, which the college awarded her for many years of devoted service and generosity towards Mercyhurst. Beyond the portraits lies the foyer, which has remained essentially unchanged. The room is adorned with antique furniture gathered by Mother Borgia in Europe, a bust of Bishop Gannon honoring his role in the early years of the college, and a statue of the Blessed Mother Mary. As Sister Eustace Taylor has written, the entrance foyer has been, quote, the scene of many gracious moments. The lighting of the Christmas tree and blessing of the manger took place here, as did the celebrated Bishop's Day dinner. Here also distinguished guests were received, including Eleanor Roosevelt and the Von Trapp family singers. Today, the foyer remains the elegant entrance to Old Main, welcoming students, employees, and visitors alike. Preserved in look and feel, the foyer also retains its essential purpose, to serve as an extension of the chapel. During construction of Christ the King Chapel, Orva O'Neill approached the sisters with an additional gift, suggesting a second ancillary chapel be built to the east. Envisioning the grandeur of the main chapel, she believed a more intimate contemplative space for private prayer would complement the main structure and honor the Blessed Mother, Queen of Heaven, a Queen's Chapel. The sisters agreed, and in 1935, ground was broken. The quaint yet elegant Queen's Chapel, a jewel of color and design, as Sister Eustace put it, mirrored that of a medieval chapel in England that Orva admired. The chapel features not only a stunning stained glass Madonna, but 4 burial vaults that were intended for the O'Neill family. Although that purpose was never fulfilled, the Queen's Chapel, together with Christ the King Chapel and the O'Neill Tower, stand as a monumental legacy to the spiritual and intellectual vision and beneficence of the O'Neill family. And as historian and former president of Mercyhurst, Mike McQuillan, observed, Christ the King Chapel has been the site of thousands of masses, hundreds of celebratory functions, and countless moments of private prayer and reflection. Few individuals have left as profound a mark on Mercyhurst as Father William Sullivan. Beyond his service as the college's first chaplain, Father Sullivan was a professor of theology, a counselor to students, and a gracious host at formal gatherings. But perhaps his greatest influence was in shaping the physical landscape of Mercyhurst, ensuring that it embodied the Mercy Sisters' love of beauty, their stewardship of God's creation, and their profound Catholic faith. In his brief 7-year tenure, Father Sullivan designed the classical, elegant, grand driveway entrance to the college, carefully planning its landscaping. He oversaw the planting of gardens and dozens of trees and shrubs across campus, along with the school's farm and beehives. Father Sullivan also designed a large pond west of Old Main, for decades known as Lake William. Yet, of all his contributions, one stands out: Mercyhurst's Our Lady of Lourdes Grotto. It began in 1931, when Sisters Xavier and Regis O'Neill made a pilgrimage to the sacred healing site of the grotto in Lourdes, France, where in 1858 the Virgin Mother Mary had appeared to the young peasant girl who would become Saint Bernadette. Upon hearing of the Mercy Sisters' desire to erect a facsimile of the grotto on campus, Father Sullivan volunteered to lead the project. With a stream nearby, a hillside to the west of Old Main offered the perfect setting to evoke the cavernous and divinely inspiring qualities of the Lourdes Grotto. To cut and haul the fieldstone from the surrounding farm and help fashion it into a grotto, Father Sullivan engaged unemployed men recruited from the campus soup kitchen, established by the sisters in these first grim years of the Great Depression. Within a few months' time, the grotto was finished, along with a picturesque white wooden bridge running across the stream. The O'Neill family donated Our Lady and Sister Bernadette statues to complete the grotto. However, the Our Lady statue was too tall to fit inside the grotto cavity and thus for 60 years sat atop the altar out front. On Halloween night in 1992, an act of vandalism presented the opportunity for the statue's replacement. With support from students, a properly sized Our Lady statue was sculpted by the acclaimed de Metz Studios in Italy and placed inside the grotto. Now surrounded by mature trees, many of them planted by Father Sullivan, the grotto has long been a sacred space of reflection and prayer. And since 1987, Sullivan Hall has overlooked the grotto, honoring the esteemed place of Father William Sullivan in Mercyhurst history. No matter where we go, these sacred places abide, always there to welcome and remind us that Mercyhurst is home, a place built on faith, strengthened by community, and cherished by all who have walked its halls.